Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 2 of ISE 2017 here in Amsterdam. We're once again on the NEC Display Solutions stand in Hall 5 it is now. It was Hall 4 last year. Very privileged to have with us today Jeff Hastings from Brightsign. He's the CEO, a longtime friend of our industry. Jeff, tell us about why you're here again at ISE.
Well, ISE is our biggest show of the year. It's a show where we get the most leads. It's where we see the most customers. We go to a lot of shows around the world, but ISE is our biggest show, and we're showing a lot of new products here.
Your biggest show, but you do 60 events a year. It's amazing that this should be the biggest show.
Yeah, it is our biggest show. I mean, it's really attracts audience, not just Europe. I mean, it's called IS Europe, but the reality is it pulls audiences from both the U.S., Europe, Africa, Middle East, and even Asia. So even though there are other shows of Infocom and shows like that around the world, ISE seems to pull everyone together.
So what's your show schedule for the year? Then obviously ISE has the benefit of being the best because it's in Europe, but it has the best of being large, but it has the benefit of being at the beginning of the year. But what's your show schedule like from now to, say, the end of the year?
Yeah, well, our show schedule kicks off every year with CES, so we do a lot of business in the consumer electronics channel. Then this is our second show of the year, ISE. Then the next major show will be DSE in Las Vegas, and then we'll go to Infocom. Those are the big shows lined up. We've got a whole bunch of smaller shows in there. As you mentioned, we do 60 plus shows a year, so on average we're doing a show a week somewhere in the world. And we basically hold events around the world with both at shows like this and partner events.
Fantastic. Now, the one thing that you surprised the industry, I think, a little bit. We monitor the industry and analyze it, but I don't think we saw the OPS announcement coming. So you announced Open Pluggable Specification Solution a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure when, but tell us a little bit why you've jumped on the OPS thing.
Well, as we look at the market, we want to be the media player, period. So no matter what kind of solution you're looking for, we want to be the device that drives the screen. And we looked at the market, and there were two things that we were kind of missing in the market. One was OPS. There's over a couple million screens out there with OPS slots, and we thought that was a great opportunity. We looked into our technology to make sure we could put it in there, and we found out it was a great match for it. So we brought out the OPS module. We introduced it actually at CES, but it was just a couple weeks ago. But this is really the debut of it here in Europe, and really for the industry as a whole. And then secondarily, we launched a built-in module that we're working with screen manufacturers to be able to actually build it directly into the screen. So not having an extra slot, but it would actually be integrated directly into the screen. And on our stand, we have a few vendors that actually have displays on our stand that have the built-in module, and they're just now going into mass production.
Okay, now the built-in thing's interesting. Is that something you announced at the show, the built-in, or was that an announcement that we missed?
No, we announced it for this show. We announced it with the OPS module.
Okay, interesting. Now we're big fans of OPS, so don't get us wrong. I know NEC are big fans of the OPS stuff, but it was a surprise, but it's a good surprise, a pleasant, nice surprise. You've also got some new media players that you've launched. Again, I think specifically for this show, or no, this is the first time European people would have been able to see the new media players. Is that right?
Yes, we brought out the Series 3 players in September, but really there were no big trade shows kind of at the end of the year. It's this industry seems to focus on the first half of the year. The second half of the year, there's not a lot of big trade shows. So this is really the European debut of the Series 3 players. It's a complete refresh of the product line from the low end to the high end. Now half of the product line is now 4K, H.265, HDR compatible, so compatible with the latest standards, and actually brought down the price point. So the top end price point used to be $850, and now it's $650. So compressed down the prices, and the performance went up dramatically in the new product line. So we're getting a lot of interest on that, and a lot of people coming by the stand looking for the first time to see the players. And one of the big things we did was actually change the industrial design. It's now 21 millimeters thick, so less than an inch thick, all built out of solid aluminum chassis. So there's no fans, there's no holes. It basically, the whole aluminum structure is thermally mounted to the CPU. So the whole thing dissipates heat. It makes it really easy to meet the new ADA standards in the US for monitors being mounted off the wall. And also just with the thinner displays out there, it makes them much more compact.
When we last spoke, which was, I think was at the New York Showcase, NEC New York Showcase in October last year, we were walking past some stalls. I think you said you discovered a store in New York that was using Brightsign players that you didn't know was Brightsign. My question actually is about your brand. I mean, you've done a great job of building up your brand. How important do you think your brand as an ingredient in the whole mix is?
You know, with brands, you always want to make sure that you don't get kind of caught up on yourself. I mean, you know, we've been focused on building our brand mostly through the actually reliability and quality of our products. We don't spend a lot of money on just pure marketing expenses, mostly around shows, because we found that marketing around shows is where people actually start to look for products. So we put a lot of marketing around shows and events. But in general, we don't spend a lot of money just on pure marketing, but the focus on the brand is to make sure that people realize that when you see that purple box, it represents reliability, it represents quality from a manufacturer that's going to be around.
So you don't actually know what you've got because you mentioned one of the key parts of your brand, which is the purple. You're the purple box, the purple shirt you're wearing. That's a great part of the brand that people tend to see, but you may not notice that they see it so much.
Exactly. Well, a lot of times you don't see the purple, but you know, when I walk around airports and retail places, I'm always looking behind the screen. I'm like, it brings a smile to my face when I see the little purple box back there.
So my last question for you, Jeff, is what is the one thing that people should come and look at on your stand in Hall 8?
The one thing you should come by is look at the brand new Series 3 players. They're spectacular. They're an elegant design, and they're both cool looking and very functional and reliable. Just, you know, really sticking with what we represent in the
Brilliant.
the
Jeff
space.
Hastings from Brightsign, thank you very much indeed.